I call to order the Planning Commission regular meeting, July 10th, 2025. Roll call, please. Luke.
Pearson.
Here.
Willenbring.
Here.
Campbell.
Present.
Diata is absent tonight. McCauley.
Here.
Wilson. Here. And Shava.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I look for approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes other than that? If so, please make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Approval is, agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes from June 5th, 2025. Does anyone have any comments or changes? If not, I look for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now is the time for open forum. Open forum is a time for anyone to bring up any business that is not on the agenda for discussion. And those, if you wish, come forward, state your name and address. And again, it's not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you don't need to come. Anyone wish to speak on something not on the agenda? Okay, open forum is opened and closed. Planning Commission review, old business is none, new business, public hearing for the Forefront Residential Parcel ID number whatever, and 3505 and 3503, Highpoint Drive North, Comprehensive Plan Amendment and Planned Unit Development Amendment. Luke, your report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the location of this property, so it's the north portion of the Forefront campus, which is adjacent to the Willowbrook neighborhood. The site is shown on the screen there with the turquoise outline. It consists of approximately 12.5 acres of undeveloped land. So it does contain some trees and some wetland. And there are two requests before us tonight to enable multifamily development here. So tentatively, the developer is looking to build up to 220 units of multifamily residences. So this would include an apartment building and some townhomes, the composition of which is to be determined at this time. The developer has stated that the residential units will be market rate, or in other words, they are not income restricted. So we'll take the two requests one at a time. So the first one is the comp plan amendment, comprehensive plan amendment. The comp plan amendment request is to re-guide the property from business campus to high-density residential, and the high-density residential category allows for townhomes and apartment buildings. The second item is the planned unit development, or PUD, amendment. So the PUD amendment is essentially the zoning of the site. That's what we're talking about here. So currently, office uses are allowed on that north portion of the Forefront campus. If approved, the amendment would allow multifamily residential uses. I would like to note that there have been similar PUD amendments approved elsewhere on the Forefront campus, notably the commercial retail site along 34th Street or County Highway 14, where there is Aldi and Starbucks. And just also worth recognizing that the Forefront campus has experienced a lot of success just because of its location and the existing infrastructure that's in place. I also want to note that the comp plan amendment and the PUD amendment do not by themselves enable construction of residential development. The developer must also seek approvals for platting or subdivision, and also a site plan approval for compliance with certain technical standards. So let's take a look at the developer's concept plan there on the screen. Again, the proposed residential is located on the north portion of the campus next to the Willowbrook area. So here's 36th Street where my cursor is. So this portion of the campus does not appear to be best suited for office and commercial uses due to its location, the lack of visibility there. Some analysis here, the city's comprehensive plan contains some very specific goals and policies to promote, and it specifically calls out the Forefront campus and promote development on the campus, as well as there's more general policies and goals in the comp plan, including promoting a full range of housing choices, which include townhomes and apartments, multifamily structures. So an initial concern that we as staff had with allowing some more residential uses in the area, and also the council expresses, was just the the capacity for this area, the infrastructure capacity. So both the developer and the city worked with the engineering firm SEH to evaluate the existing sewer system. And the results of that sewer study confirmed that there is existing capacity to serve an additional 220 residential units here. To help ensure that the development is an appropriate transitional area next to the Willowbrook neighborhood, staff is recommending several conditions, and the first one I want to note is that the proposed building be set back a minimum of 100 feet from the southern lot line of, this is Willowbrook 6th Edition, where my cursor is, and also 100 feet back from 36th Street. From practical reasons as well, there's wetland there along the frontage and also on the north portion of the site. So just trying to be mindful of those Willowbrook residents, making sure that like an apartment building is not too imposing, not too close to those residences. Now within that 100 setback area, townhouses may be situated there, and that's the way that we tailor that condition of approval. Staff is recommending that the development be subject to the zoning standards specified for the R4 district, and this would include standards such as minimum lot area, setbacks, building height, and so on. We also recommend that the proposal adhere to the development standards in the zoning ordinance, so we're talking parking spaces, landscaping, site lighting, and exterior building materials. And I do want to reference, we do have a newly adopted zoning code. It was just adopted by the city council 2 days ago, so it's fresh. These are modern regulations, so requiring these regulations will also ensure a quality development here. So given the policies and guidance that are stated in the city's comprehensive plan, along with the location of the subject area being located adjacent to existing residential, staff finds that the comp plan amendment and the planned unit development amendment request are appropriate, and staff recommends approval of the two requests, subject to the conditions found in the ordinance, and I am referencing the document that is on page 16 of the agenda packet, and I will summarize. There's 7 conditions of approval there, so bear with me, please. So the first one is that the developer obtain approval for a comp plan amendment to re-guide the site to high-density residential. Number 2 is that any apartment buildings be set back a minimum of 100 feet from the right-of-way of 36th Street and then the southern lot line of Willowbrook 6th Edition. Townhomes may be situated within that setback area. Number 3, the development must follow the standards of the R4 zoning district, as I mentioned. Number 4, the development shall adhere to the applicable development standards of the city's zoning code, and again, that's the parking, landscaping, site lighting, and so on. Number 5, here we wanted to be very clear that not just the apartment building, but also townhomes be subject to our exterior design standards. So class 1 materials, we're talking brick, stone, glass, fiber cement, those high quality materials to ensure that there's good architecture here and durable materials as well. Number 6, the maximum number of residential units shall not exceed 220, and again, that's based on the sewer analysis. And then finally, number 7 is satisfaction of park dedication requirements. So in terms of the remaining steps for this process, so after the public hearing is held, Planning Commission provides a recommendation to the City Council. The 2 requests would be heard by the City Council, likely at the August 12th meeting. And that if the City Council approves the request, staff would be authorized to submit the comprehensive plan amendment to the Metropolitan Council. That's the regional government agency responsible for the final approval of any comp plan amendments. And again, I just want to remind folks in the public that if these 2 requests are approved, the developer still has to come back and seek plat approval and site plan approval. This is not the last step in the process by any means. And I just want to remind the commission this is a public hearing item and the development team is here. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for Luke?
I do. So, comp plan amendment from business campus to high-density residential is what we're guiding that. If we do that, the PUD still allows all of the office uses and then residential, if we were to approve the PUD as well?
So Commissioner, I think some legal experts might recommend that the comp plan amendment still has to align with the PUD or vice versa. The PUD has to align with the comp plan amendment, so.
Kind of where I was going is, so we make these decisions, and because where my concern is because we're not seeing this all together with the site plan and plating and things like that, we can make these changes, the developer can go away, and now we've re-guided and changed all of the zoning for residential for anybody else to come in. Like, there's no going back unless somebody else comes in and says, okay, I want to do office here. So just making sure that we all understand that there's no change, or kind of no take-backsies, if you will.
Restricted takebacks.
Right. That's the technical term. Then I just have a question for the developer when we get to that point, so.
Anyone else have a question for Luke? The only question I have is, I recognize that there's a certain percentage change in the volume for sewers, but there's also for water pressure. Did they verify that and just never made it to the report, or was that not an issue that they wanted to bring up?
So Chair, the sewer and water kind of go hand in hand. I'd have to defer to our engineers and our consulting engineers as well on that item. But with the site plan amendments that's forthcoming, that would be another opportunity to just verify the infrastructure capacity.
Okay. Any other questions for?
Sorry,
Go
that
ahead.
raises another one. Did we look at traffic at all? Because again, if we make this decision and we're kicking the site plan down the way and traffic comes back and says, well, it doesn't really work for 220 units because of XYZ reasons, we've already made the change to residential.
Right.
It just, to me, it feels like it should all come together. It's kind of inappropriate to do it in the multi-stages. I understand why the developer wants to do it. They don't want to put the investment in if we're not going to make this underlying change, but I don't know, I just feel a little uncomfortable with it being this process the way it is.
So Commissioner, no formal traffic study was not completed. Now, for what it's worth, the build out of the Willowbrook neighborhood, the residential neighborhood to the north, came in much less density than what was planned for. So if you look at the area overall, there was much more residential units planned as a whole here. So our engineering team also reviewed the request, and again, we get another opportunity with the site plan to evaluate the new access that would be built along 36th Street as well.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'd like to offer the developers time to come make a speech if they would like to. Please state your name and company.
Good evening, Chair. Commissioner Scott Peterson, representing the applicant, United Properties, 250 Nicollet Mall, Minneapolis. Also representing the business partnership Larson family in the joint venture ownership of the Forefront campus. Excited to be here tonight. For those of you that are new to commission, we've been in front of you guys for about 5 years straight now on some of the various developments we've done there. It's been a great partnership, and here to answer any questions. We think staff's done a great job.
Okay. Anyone have questions for the developer? You said you did, Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, was curious just kind of what activities have taken place as far as marketing this to office users under the existing entitlements.
Yeah, so if you can go back, if it's possible to put the first cover sheet up. So, and if I may, I apologize for those who can't see. You know, when you look at what this campus still contains, this is a fully ready-to-go, ground-up office pad. The actual infrastructure for this utility to supports up to a 4-story office building there. This entire east expansion area is still zoned office. And so in the 5 years we've been involved in this, we've tried to market this corner, this retail, this industrial, and frankly, there's just no interest back there. And I think when you look at the traffic path on 36, this feels residential. I don't think you want a 200,000 square foot office coming in there and that type of traffic path. So for us, it became a natural transition. I also think in prior decisions with city staff was that this road was not to connect through. And so then you've kind of landlocked this within these potential site of an office, in our opinion, because this is your main entrance, this is your secondary entrance, and now you're kind of landlocked. So for us, it's the most logical next step there. And I think you'll see what staff and we've worked on to do is provide that, significant buffer to step that building from a two-story to a townhome to an office building. Does that answer your question?
It does, yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You brought up a question for me. There used to be a roundabout where the helicopters would land to do mosquito control. Does that now go into this? Are you going to connect to that? Or that would bring traffic down into the, I want to say Old Nation thing, because that's where I used to work, but,
I'm not familiar with that roundabout.
okay, you may have taken it out since
Okay,
then.
yeah.
Anyone else have questions for the developer? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This time I'll open the open forum. Anyone wishing to make comment on this?
And just a point to clarify, does the applicant have the opportunity to respond to open comments?
Up to you.
I would think you would be able to come up as a member of the community to make comment during it, yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, again, I open the open forum. Anyone who wishes to make comment on this particular piece of information, please come forward. I'll ask it again. If there's anyone who wishes to come forward to make comment on this issue, please come forward. Seeing none, I close the open forum. Bring it back. Any final questions from anyone? Then I look for a motion to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment to re-guide parcel identification number 1702921130006 and portions of the properties addressed 3505 and 3503 Highpoint Drive north from business campus to high-density residential.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is that a second from you?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Second motion is to recommend approval of the planned unit development amendment for parcel identification number, already said, and portions of the properties addressed 3505 and 3503 Highpoint Drive North to allow multi-unit residential use.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And we move on to the next item, which is a public hearing. Oakdale Marketplace Apartments Phase 2, parcel ID number 1702921410011, planned unit development amendment, preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan. Take it away.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. Before you tonight, we have a request for Oakdale Marketplace Apartments Phase 2, including a PUD amendment, a preliminary and final plat, and a site plan. So the location of this request is in the Oakdale Marketplace planned unit development, just west of Target and south of 33rd Street. Access is provided off of Marketplace, 33rd Street and 32nd Street. Directly across the street is the Harlan Apartments, and this here tonight is the same developer as the Harlan Apartments. The site itself is 5.2 acres. It is zoned Oakdale Marketplace PUD, which we'll discuss a bit further in a bit. And the purpose tonight is to look at the applicant's proposal for a 4-story, 160-unit multifamily building, as well as a multi-tenant commercial building ranging from 8,000 to 12,000 square feet. This is referred to as a horizontal mixed-use configuration, where multiple uses are in close proximity but occupy different buildings. To proceed, the applicant must receive approval from the city on a preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan. Additionally, a PUD amendment is required to allow the horizontal mixed-use configuration, which we'll discuss on the next slide. A concept plan was previously considered by the City Council in February, where the early concept received general support. I do want to quick highlight why a PUD amendment is necessary for this application. Last year, some of you may remember, the city completed a comprehensive study of the Oakdale Marketplace and Oakdale Station area, resulting in a major PUD amendment. This area spans from 694 in County 14 to Target, for reference, over by Ideal Avenue. Generally, the PUD amendment opened up additional land uses on site and specified certain design standards. For the parcel in question tonight, the amendments allowed residential to be built on this parcel if it was vertical mixed use, meaning that commercial is present on the first floor while residential is present on the upper floors. The applicant tonight is proposing a horizontal mixed-use configuration, meaning that commercial and residential are both present and close together, but in different buildings. As a result, a PUD amendment is required to allow that site layout. In general, staff finds that a PUD amendment is appropriate for this request, as horizontal mixed-use projects do offer many of the same benefits as vertical, including opportunities for shared parking, increased commercial space, and closer proximity to commercial destinations for residents. Here we can see the most up-to-date site plan. The 160-unit residential building is on the southwest side of the site, while the commercial building is on the northeast side. The plan shows sidewalks on 33rd Street North, the Target private drive to the east, and around the multifamily and commercial buildings. A direct pedestrian connection is present between the residential building and commercial building. There are existing sidewalks on Market Place and 32nd Street North, creating a network around the general site. A drive-through is shown to the east of the commercial building. However, it should be noted that no tenants have been recruited as of yet, so it's possible that the final design of the commercial building might not have a drive-through. I do want to highlight some of the changes that have occurred with the plans for this proposal. When we first received this plan as staff, we were a bit concerned with some of the changes from what we first saw in our council workshop in February. The commercial building had shrunk a bit. There were no connective features between the residential and commercial buildings, and the only new sidewalks were largely to serve the commercial and residential building and didn't go along public streets or private streets. Also, the drive-through was shown as very close to the residential building, as shown on the screen up there. To address these issues, staff did request HKGI, a Twin Cities-based planning and urban design firm, take a look at the proposal and prepare some recommendations. The full memo is included in the meeting packet. Some of the primary recommendations were shifting the commercial building to the northern edge of the site, allowing for better activation of the street frontage, reducing the number of curb cuts where possible for pedestrian and vehicle safety, breaking up the large parking lot with vegetation, gathering space, and a more intentional pedestrian connection, creating a designated pedestrian corridor between the multifamily and commercial buildings to help create some intentionality in connecting the uses, and adding new sidewalks along the 33rd Street North and the site's eastern edge. Overall, these recommendations have been largely incorporated into the most recent site plan, shown again on this slide. So looking at some of the components for the site plan, I'll talk first about access and parking. Access is provided via 2 new curb cuts on 33rd Street and 1 on Target's private drive to the east. Additionally, access to the underground parking is via 32nd Street to the south. The developer is proposing 178 surface parking spaces and 159 underground spaces, totaling 337 spaces. Under the updated zoning code, which was adopted recently, the commercial building requires 1 space for every 400 square feet, and the multifamily building requires 1.5 spaces per residential unit, totaling a required 270 spaces across all uses. The developer's proposal, 337 spaces, exceeds this requirement by 67 spaces, meaning this requirement is met. Additionally, the code requires that the building be made up of at least 60% Class 1 materials. Based on plans submitted by the architect, this requirement is met. With regard to trash collection, the plans show the residential trash storage as being internal to the building, with the dumpster being wheeled out on a concrete pad on the south side on collection day. This meets ordinance requirements. With the commercial building, the trash is shown within the drive-through lane in this configuration, and some of this might be worked out later when there is a designated commercial tenant. Per analysis by our city engineer, this location could create conflict points with cars. So the developer will need to work with the city engineer to find a location acceptable to the city engineer. Further, the developer will be required to provide information on screening for the trash collection area if it remains outside, as roofed enclosures are required under the city code. For lighting, the photometric plan provided shows that the maximum illuminance standard of 0.5 foot candles at property lines is exceeded in some areas. As a result, the developer will need to update their photometric plans. A couple more notes on circulation and access. Per analysis by the city engineer, the developer will need to slightly adjust the second curb cut on 33rd Street to line up with the McDonald's curb cut for safety. Additionally, a few of the sidewalks, including the north-south sidewalk just east of the apartment building and the north-south sidewalk on the eastern edge of the property, are just 4 feet wide. These will have to be updated to be 5 feet wide to comply with the ordinance. Further, the eastern edge sidewalk directly abuts the roadway, so the developer will need to work with the city engineer to set it back 4 feet from the curb where it's possible. Here's the landscaping plan for the development. The developer is showing 112 tree plantings, which does meet city requirements. However, the landscaping plans still show the original site plan layout, so that'll need to be updated to show the commercial building closer to 33rd Street in addition to the other design changes. Here we have the elevations for the multifamily building. The primary materials here are brick, glass, and fiber cement. One thing to point out is that based on this design, the building will require a PUD site plan deviation to allow the building height, as it's about 2 feet and 8 inches over the maximum. A larger deviation was granted for the original Harlan Apartments, so staff finds that this deviation is appropriate here. We have the elevations for the commercial building, showing it as mostly brick and metal, which meets the 70% Class 1 material standards for commercial buildings. Should be noted that there are currently no tenants signed to the building, so that design is subject to change. Here we just have a 3D rendering of the site looking north. And here we have the preliminary plat for the development. The plat divides the site into 3 lots, 1 buildable lot for the multifamily building, a buildable lot for the commercial building, and an outlot to the north for future development. To conclude, staff is recommending approval of the PUD amendment, preliminary and final plat, and site plan as detailed in the staff report on file. Staff recommends approval of the request, subject to the following conditions. Bear with me as this is a good bit of a list at about 25. For the preliminary and final plat, we will recommending conditions including execution of a development agreement between the developer and the city, approval of an amendment to the Oakdale Marketplace PUD to allow the horizontal mixed-use configuration, satisfaction of park dedication requirements, execution of a public access easement over the existing trail on the outlot, obtain approval from the city engineer for site civil construction plans, a sewer availability surcharge of $300 for residential units that exceed or increase flow to the lift station above the amount in the comp plan, construction of sidewalks at least 5 feet in width along the south side of 33rd Street North and the eastern edge of the site. The sidewalk on the eastern edge of the property shall be set back 4 feet from the curb where possible. The final plat must be revised as necessary to meet requirements of the city attorney's plat opinion, and all those shall be adhered to based on the recommendations of the city attorney regarding title matters and recording. Permits and approvals must be obtained from other regulatory agencies. Next up, we have site plan conditions. Recommending conditions including approval of an amendment to the Oakdale Marketplace PUD, execution of the development agreement, approval of the site civil construction plans by the engineer, approval by the fire department for the hydrant locations and fire department connections, details on the ground mechanical equipment and any external trash collection areas and screening, The developer shall relocate the trash collection area for the commercial building to a location acceptable to the city engineer. The photometric plan will be revised to comply with the city's lighting requirements. The commercial building will be set back no further than 10 feet from the curb of 33rd Street North to activate that street edge. The commercial building shall be at least 10,000 square feet in size. That's to ensure that we are getting a good amount of commercial space with this development. The site plan shall be updated to align the proposed curb cuts on 33rd Street North to the satisfaction of the city engineer. That sewer availability surcharge of $300 for residential units that increase flow to the lift station. Developer shall construct sidewalks at least 5 feet in width along the south side of 33rd Street North. That one was repeated in the previous resolution. The commercial building will utilize four-sided architecture in accordance with Resolution 2024-89. The developer shall construct a pedestrian corridor between the commercial and multifamily buildings, and permits and approvals must be obtained from all applicable outside government agencies. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. As a reminder, this is a public hearing as well, and the developer is in attendance with us.
Okay. First question I have for you is that the photometric plan, where was the periphery of that plan? Is it at the periphery of the building so that the residents won't be blinded?
Yeah, unfortunately, the photometric plan isn't included in the packet tonight, but it was for all of the property lines for the entire development. It actually showed it as 0 at the southern property line, closest to the Anna's Grove neighborhood. Most of the areas where the requirements were exceeded were more so by the commercial side.
I'm just asking the question as if I was a resident of the residential part, making sure that they're going to be happy with the results. So that's the basis of my question. Anyone else have any questions?
A couple. Just for my understanding, the SAC surcharge, that's $300 above the normal SAC rate, correct?
That's correct, and our city engineer is working on the final determination, and the exact same charge was applied to the first Harlan.
Perfect. And then something you said early on that piqued my interest. They have a curb cut to the target private access drive. Is there an easement that allows them to exit onto that private access drive?
There are easements throughout the entire development that allow for cross-access between the businesses. The exact specifics of those I might defer to the developer, as they would know a bit better, but generally there is access.
Okay. That was all that I had.
Anyone else?
Only thing I'm questioning is going with a drive-through in there. That backs right onto the target access road. If you get something in there like a Cane's, you're gonna fill that full access road up. So are they working on putting any limits on what type of possible drive-through could go through?
That's a good question, and we might receive a different site plan depending on how that actual commercial building turns out and who that tenant is. I believe right now it's outputting onto 33rd Street. The original, when we had our consultant look at it, they recommended the target access drive, and the developer said that they likely could not get approval for that. In general, yeah, we'll have to take a look at who that final tenant is, but the zoning does allow for any commercial user.
Any other questions?
Do we know if the current Harlan building has one entrance for underground parking? It's just,
Yeah, I believe the developer can speak to that. I do believe that they have one underground parking entrance on the southern side of the site, so it would look pretty similar to this proposal.
okay.
Just curious, and you may not know this, I assume as the developer, you don't own this, you don't control this whole development, it's just this parcel. Do you want him to come up?
I'm going to invite him up as soon as you're done. Anyone else
I
have
guess,
anything?
sorry, hold on, maybe my question is for staff. Do we know, I assume Target has, within the CC&R's restrictions, kind of over the entire development, that make a lot of development challenging, like a Canes or a Chick or something like that, correct?
I can confirm that Target does hold the ability to have quite a bit of a say on these things. There's quite a bit of restrictive covenants that govern this site. I can let the developer speak a bit more to that as the city's not involved with those private covenants.
I just bring that up for the commission's education that like, it's not uncommon for Target or big business, big anchor tenants like this to put in the CC&Rs or the covenants and restrictions, like you can't have this business, you can't have that business, you can't do this, you need our approval for that. So that's part of the reason why this development's been not developed for so long, so.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing that, I'll invite the developer to come up and give his purview on it.
Yeah, thank you. Vishal Dutt, 200 Oak Hill Drive, Shoreview. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you guys again. Thank you, and staff's done a great job. We've been working for the last 5-6 months on this. Came here today. And you're right, Mr. Campbell, that Target has quite a bit of say. A lot of restrictions, no bank. I mean, there's just a whole litany. It's a whole litany. This is one piece, the city, but working with Target is another whole beast that you have no idea about and you don't want to get into. So it's they have a lot of say in what happens here, and I'm hoping that they approve it. I mean, Harlan's doing great, so I believe this is going to be a great development for the city for forever. So,
Okay. Any further?
no, appreciate it.
Any further questions for the developer? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it's time for open forum. A couple of comments on open forum. Generally, a time period of no more than 20 minutes is reserved for public comment, and each speaker receiving a 3-minute limit. Each speaker should make sure that they don't overlap comments too much with previous speakers. So at this point, I'll open the forum. Anyone wishing to make comment at this time, please come forward.
Like I've been up here a few times already.
Tell your name and address, please.
Zimlich, Dan Zimlich, and 7532 31st Street North, Annis Grove. Unfortunately, a lot of neighbors said, well, you're going, so we don't have to come. And thank you, neighbors. But thank you for having faith in me. And thank you for letting me be up here. I want to do a compliment first. Love what you did with the water tower on 694. A lot of people like that. And my wife loves that you put Aldi's across the street. We at Annis Grove, originally Target, were supposed to be all businesses there. Everybody wanted business. Matter of fact, I was at Target this week. My wife was at Aldi's this week. My daughters were at Starbucks across the street. AutoZone, 2 of my kids in college, both of them had their battery replaced from AutoZone. We want businesses there. I don't want to drive to Woodbury. I like to just jump in my car and run and get an item at Target, or my wife running to Aldi's. We want businesses. And I think it'd be a great opportunity to grow the original plan businesses there. Personally, apartments bring an unknown, 20, 30 years down the road. Different people will buy the businesses. I know you guys will do your best to stop anything, shady, but my dad had the same problem in St. Paul 30 years ago, and things do change. Zones change. So I'm encouraging you, please, put businesses there. I've been shopping there. Many other people want it. I would like to do a restaurant. And by the way, at Summerfest, I saw the police officers do a fabulous job. There was a little incident. I want to say you guys did a fabulous job at Summerfest, and the police should be recognized for being very professional in front of all my guests. And I want to say thank you for that too. And thank you for letting me be up here.
On behalf of the city, I say that I'll thank you for that comment. Anyone else wish to come forward to make comment? I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back. Any final comments from anyone on the commission? Seeing none. Motion to recommend the approval of the planned unit development amendment to allow horizontal mixed use for the Oakdale Marketplace Apartments Phase 2.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is a motion to recommend approval of the preliminary plat and final plat for Oakdale Marketplace Apartments Phase 2.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Motion to recommend approval of the site plan for Oakdale Marketplace Apartments Phase 2.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to other staff liaison updates.
Thank you, Chair. So a couple new folks here in the room. Of course, we want to welcome our newest planning commissioner, Janai Shava. And then we also have in the audience here is our community development intern, Emma. She's a student studying planning in California, but she's from Washington State. I want to recognize that the code update, I alluded to this during the first item, the zoning and subdivision code update and the zoning map amendments, that was adopted by the city council on Tuesday. So we're really excited about that. And then lastly is just expect a planning commission in a meeting in August. We have a couple current applications on file. So, thank you.
Commissioners update. Anyone have any comments to make? Okay. Just welcome to Shania.
Thank you.
Thank you for being honest with us. Council liaison update.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things for you, well, a few things for you that have been mentioned already. Summerfest was a nice event. Hopefully you got an opportunity to visit that. And thank you to the Summerfest committee, the OSCO committee for planning that, putting that together. It's a wonderful thing for our town. The water tower repainting, again, looks great. Hope you had an opportunity to see that. If you haven't, you will, but it looks great. One thing I'd mention in the future, the Night to Unite on August 5th, which is an opportunity for neighborhoods gatherings to focus around safety and crime prevention. So there's information on the Oakdale website about that. As far as council actions, a couple of things I think you folks talked about last month, that you held public hearings for last month on the comprehensive plan amendment for the Glenwood Small Area Plan. And the revised and updated zoning ordinance, which I think staff mentioned, were both approved by the council earlier this week. So thank you for your work on that. And lastly, I would echo the welcome to Chennai, to the commission. Thank you for stepping up and offering your service to the city. It's much appreciated. Any questions for me?
I have one maybe for you, maybe for staff.
Okay, probably going to be staff. I know nothing, but
I was by the Public Works building last week.
Sure.
The new one, and just curious if, like, what their target opening date is.
I do not know, but staff will.
Commissioner Campbell, I can speak to that a little. At least as of a week and a half ago, I believe they were waiting to finish up the roof and put on some of the materials. They were last talking about potentially moving in November or December, though that's all subject to change based on construction conditions.
Glad I don't have to help move them.
Any questions for me other than that?
Any? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.